I just prayed inside, Lord, give me the courage what to do in this situation.
The moment he saw, he felt that he has sustained a very severe head injury.
Nobody can believe that he is alive till that time.
To see him lying motionless, so that was very shocking and very disturbing too.
I thought to myself, this is a terrible one, and I don't know whether my son lives or not.
During the last few years of my school life, I got really involved in music and drama and a lot of cultural activities. And as part of that is we would go to other schools and we would compete against them. And during one such event in October 2001, it was a Friday morning. I remember leaving home and telling my mom I won't be back till late, and because the competition would go on all day, and it was a 3-day competition over the weekend. And I had a little white moped that I used to drive around, go to school. The next thing I remember is telling my friends, hey, I'm going home for a little bit, but I'll be back soon.
It was 19th October 2001. It was a Friday. I had to go to the ladies' prayer meeting in the church, which was from 11 to 1. We finished that, and then I came home by 2 o'clock. At that time, the phone bell rang, and then I heard a familiar voice, which was Jason's friend. He said, Auntie, Jason met with an accident. He's very serious. He's bleeding. Can he come to the spot immediately?
It was a head-on collision. When I was in a passing lane, coming back home, I hit a van head-on. Fortunately, there was some of my friends who also happened to be traveling the same direction, and they saw what happened, and they rushed me to a nearby hospital.
And I started crying, but then he said, no, don't panic. If he used to die, he would have died by this time. But he's there in the hospital, so God will do a miracle. So let's hope and pray. So we both rushed to the hospital. And then on the way we saw a van, and then underneath was our son's bike, and there was a pool of blood there.
I thought to myself, this is a terrible one, and I don't know whether my son lives or not. But anyway, I just prayed inside, Lord, give me the courage what to do in this situation, and I drove to the hospital. We saw Jason was bleeding all over. He had a head injury. He had an injury in his chin, and then the blood was dripping. And then he had a very bad injury in the hand. We went and told him, Jason, Mommy and Daddy are here. He couldn't just recognize anybody because he's going into an unconscious stage. That was what the doctor said. He was just going into an unconscious state.
The moment he saw, he felt that he has sustained a very severe head injury, and he has got a very badly damaged brain. And so we did the necessary treatment for that and the first aid, what needs to be done immediately. And we planned for all the investigations that are needed, like computer tomography and other investigations. When I first examined him, he was unconscious. He was not obeying any commands. He was opening his eyes to give painful stimulus, and he was making some moaning and groaning, and he was not able to talk.
First saw him at the scan center. I was terribly taken aback by the blow he had in the accident. Nobody can believe that he is alive till that time after his terrible collision with the head-on collision with the van.
Just like everyone else, even I was very shocked. We couldn't believe, because if you know Jason, he's a very vibrant person. Moving around, yelling, shouting, jumping, having fun all together. And to see him lying motionless, so that was very shocking and very disturbing too.
The doctor said, okay, let's wait till 72 hours. If he's bleeding through his ears, then we cannot say he will not survive. If he's bleeding through the nose or something like that, he may not survive. So the doctors waited to see if anything bad happens, but nothing happened except that he was in the coma stage.
In a close head injury with multiple hemorrhagic contusions, generally it is very difficult to say what will be the outcome. It takes a longer time. he may be even responding to painful stimuli, he may be moving the limbs. But because of the multiple areas involved, the recovery will be prolonged.
They gave us first 24 hours, then 48 hours, and they said we have to wait for 3 days whether his brain will work or not. Then we waited for 72 hours. Then still he was in the coma stage and he was not able to open his eyes or recognize or see anything or talk. He was totally in a coma stage, unconscious stage.
His initial first 2 weeks, he was in a very severe, deeply comatose state. His blood sodium level was low, and he was in a state of altered sensorium for a period of 3 to 4 days. At that time, he had features of increased pulse rate and other things.
The medical report said they went about with testing him now and then and say, we cannot say anything, we cannot predict anything. Maybe he cannot use his limbs, he cannot use his, he may not have a perfect vision, he may not be able to talk properly, or the major one was he may not remember anything, he may have amnesia. That was what the doctors feared. It was a difficult time for us as parents. But then we had something inside telling us that God will do a miracle and God will give him back his life and he will be alive and he will do God's work the rest of his days. He will come back alive.
I had faith in my heart that my son would come back to life and he will live a long life glorifying the Lord through his music and talents, playing his keyboard and leading the worship in the church service. Because he was doing that before this accident, playing his drums and playing his keyboard and leading the youth and the kids. So I had that strong faith in my heart and I shared that with my wife. So we used to go to the intensive care unit and lay hands on him and pray over him every day. And the hospital used to permit us only for 5 minutes or 2 minutes. So every day a lot of servants of God, they visited from different places and they prayed for Jason for divine healing.
Hundreds and thousands of people, they heard about this accident, things that we were going through. They started praying and they walked in to pray actually from different parts of India and places. And lots of emails were sent saying, we are praying as a church, we are praying as a group, we are praying individually. So that sustained him and that gave us courage that God is doing something in his life and something tremendous is going to happen.
We did make a very special prayer and I was the fortunate guy fortunate enough to read that prayer for him. Not only just the students but all the teachers, even the principal, everyone. The only thing everyone was talking about was only about Jason, his accident.
On the third Sunday, which was the 16th day, I preached and then after the service was over, we both drove to the hospital to see Jason. And they brought him out of the intensive care unit and put him in a regular room. We sat by his side and we laid hands and we prayed and my wife, she started to cry and said, Jason, will you not open your eyes and see us? Would you not speak to us? Then suddenly he stretched his hand and touched his mother and said, Mommy. And he touched me and said, you are Daddy. So we were praising the Lord that moment. And then after a few minutes he opened his eyes and he saw us both and we were so happy to see that and we praised God.
Recovery was very fast, I should say, because after 2-3 days he picked up his health and he sat and started eating with us in that room. And the doctor came and said, where is the boy in the bed? He's not in the bed. But he was sitting with us and eating, and he was, to his surprise, the recovery was so quick.
And he told the doctor, thank you doctor very much for your help. And then he said, I didn't do anything. This is a great miracle. This is all your God. So he said, thank you, oh God, for all these things. I didn't do anything. So it was a pure miracle. So after a few days, I think after a week, he was discharged. He was asked to go home and take rest for the next 3 months. But the doctors advised that he would not have memory, he cannot recollect the past, and his 5 senses would not coordinate. So keeping all those things in mind, as soon as I took him home, I gave him the keyboard. Then I asked him to play. Hey, can you play me a song? Then I watched him playing a song slowly. He picked up the tunes and the music. He started playing. We were so happy to see that, and we praise God.
Be able to play the keyboard, that is a very, very finer cognitive function, which needs a lot of higher functions. Your memory, past memory, your ability to correlate the notes with the instrument, and your ability to reproduce all the notes. It involves a lot of networks in the brain. In fact, I had a couple of his friends coming and telling me that he has started playing the keyboard very well. It's a very excellent recovery.
Using my left hand was a little bit difficult, but the more I did, my fingers started gaining full function. So I did. And for that Christmas service in our church, I played the keyboard because my dad had confessed in faith, my son's going to be okay. He's going to be back here playing music with me in church. And I played music that Christmas service.
It was a happy moment for us because we saw our son come back alive, and the Lord honored our faith, and then he was so kind enough to give him back to us.
So I took him through the place he met with the accident. And for our surprise, he was not able to remember what had happened to him on that day.
Yes.
So it's another miracle, I should say, because he remembered everything other than the accident. So that was a miracle. I think the Lord had erased that bad incident from his memory.
My dad drove me back to the place where the accident took place, on that street. And he said, "Do you remember what happened here?" I said, "No. I don't remember what happened here." He said, "You had an accident. You had a head-on collision with the van. And you almost died right here." We went and met the doctors in the hospital that they treated me at. And my dad walked me down those hallways. We met the nurses. They took me to the intensive care where I was at for over 2 weeks. And they said, "Do you remember these people? Do you remember this place?" I didn't remember them.
Well, what can I say? He's back to normal, I suppose. Good as ever. The Lord has always been with him. And of course, he'll always be with him.
The truth is the second life God has given him. He's blessed him abundantly. It's a miracle-working Lord that is proved once again.
We experienced the power of prayer during those days, and we saw by our own eyes the supernatural miracles of God.